Thanks, Jen. So Mr. Chairperson, we're ready when you are, and you have a quorum.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to have such a full house here today. Meeting evaluation form was sent out to everyone electronically. If you would, toward the end of the meeting, take a couple minutes to fill that out, give us some feedback. That'd be very much appreciated. Economic news, let's jump into that. So I'll give you an update from a manufacturing standpoint. You know, we are trying to get back to normal. Masking is optional in most places, but the labor market is extremely tight. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. There are challenges there. A few issues with supply chain, but for the most part, manufacturers are finding their way around that and continuing to operate and ship product. So economic news, any other sectors want to give us an update on how we're doing?
I can report from the vineyard and winery side. We're dealing with increased costs of pesticides and herbicides and chemicals. And shortages of all those, and working our way around things in the vineyard. Unfortunately, driving the tractor through more to control weeds. So it's a struggle, and trying not to pass those increased costs on to the consumers in the final product of the wine. So it's a balance for sure.
Sounds like a challenge. Thank you for the update.
Jennifer, I'll talk about healthcare. Not much has really changed. We continue to have absolutely exhausted core staff without a lot of light at the end of the tunnel, more open positions than we've ever had before. We have at Thompson has some really great job fairs, and thank you to the Finger Lakes Hires Have You Heard campaign. We have increased our number of walk-ins for the job fairs we've had recently, and in very high quality. And we had 30 in January and 50 in March, and have hired half of each of those, which is a great capture rate for us. So I appreciate the efforts that Finger Lakes Works has put into those campaigns on our behalf. The patients obviously keep coming. The hospital's very full with ill patients, and the nursing home is overflowing without enough direct care providers. We are running our own internal CNA classes here at Thompson, as well as continuing our partnership with FLCC to run them. We just can't pump them out quick enough to keep the staff that we need.
Thanks for that update, Jennifer. Question I forgot to mention, in the manufacturing sector, one of the other things that we're experiencing is we've had to increase wages to get people in, and in some cases just to, you know, try to keep pace with inflation with our current workforce. So I imagine other sectors are dealing with that as well. Any other economic updates before we move on?
Just I could offer, Mr. Chairman, sincerely Mike Davis and others can validate this. We're trying to put up a new building at the Tech Farm in Geneva, and the pricing is just crazy on what we're getting. And again, supply and demand, you know, the industry is backed up. It seems to be very busy, but the lead times and everything are really jacking up the prices like we had never expected, never seen before.
Yeah, good
Labor
point.
That's
shortage and material shortage.
Yep.
How are we doing in the trades? We getting people there?
Say again.
How are we doing in the trades? I've heard through the grapevine that we've got quite a few young people that are getting into the apprenticeship programs, and that's been very robust.
We've had an influx of younger people starting to show up. Yeah. The word's getting out that the trades actually is a great place to be. It's taken long enough, but yeah, we're going to be busy, especially in my trade, for years to come with the infrastructure that they're trying to put in on both the lineman side and the interior wireman side. With electric cars that they're trying to put out, and just utility to make sure we can get power from place to place. And green energy. Yeah, we're booming and people, the word's out, and we're starting to get more and more people. I'm gonna have in the next year or so, 2 different solar fields are gonna need over 100 people each to put them in. And, you know, I'm only a local of 180 people. So we're definitely looking, and they're starting to show up, and it's a good place to start in those solar fields. You can learn a little bit about what we do there and decide if that's where you want to go.
Very good. Thanks for the update.
Mhm.
All right, if there are no more economic updates, we'll move along. Program changes, anything to consider here?
Have some updates about the Geneva Career Center. We actually were able to unlock our walk-in traffic on May 5th. So we are doing more than just virtual services. We're serving folks as they come into the center. It's been a little slow, but I'm sure as the word gets out, our traffic will increase. One of the pain points for all of the career centers has been the ID portion of unemployment insurance. So a lot of folks have been coming to the centers looking for help for that. And they are starting to phase that out. So hopefully that'll alleviate some of the bottleneck with people's claims going through, and they can get their benefits and move on to looking for a new job. So that is kind of a big update for after 2 years.
Thanks, Julia.
Great to hear that you're back open.
Absolutely.
We are, yeah, we're ready. We're happy. It's so much easier to help people in person when we can.
Yeah.
So true.
Okay, Lynn, did we have any program changes? Am I good there?
No. We're all set on our end. Thank you.
All right, and privilege of the floor. If there's anything else anyone wants to share. All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the committee updates and finance and audit. Mr. Doblin. Rob with us today?
I'm not sure that he is. Debbie, do you want to give a quick overview?
Sure. So we've been pretty busy looking at budgets throughout the last couple of months, which will be addressed later on in the meeting with through the counties and whatnot, and the WIP budgets and stuff. We're now starting to gear up for Bonadio will be here this summer, and we're winding down the year on that. These are all based on our draft budgets for PY22. We're going to be looking at our final budgets pretty soon. We will not be looking at the youth budgets at today's meeting. We're going to need to do something next month with those, because as of the Finance and Audit Committee and the Executive Committee, we did not have final numbers for youth to be able to finalize anything with that. So we'll have to get together probably just via email to look at those, to have everybody approve that. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, thank you. Governance and membership, Mr. Manikowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Governance and Membership Committee and the Executive Committee are pleased to offer for today's meeting the new slate of officers. With Jennifer coming on board as our chairperson, Lynn, can you please go over the slate?
Sure thing. So we're very pleased, as you said, Mr. Manikowski. Welcome. Jen DeVault has accepted. She will move into the chairperson position effective July 1st. Pete Beckius from Cupid College is moving to the private vice chair position, and Bill Peeler will move into the public vice chair. All are effective July 1st. Mr. Doblin will continue on as the secretary treasurer. All of the paperwork is going through the legislative process right now for approval. And one of the resolutions for today is to get the board's approval and vote on our next elections.
So, Mr. Chairman, that's really what we have to report and to offer for today's meeting. And I want to thank Lynn personally for working through, my position as a public sector co-chair, finding a great successor for that position. And I'll still be hanging around on the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Marketing and communications, Mr. Beckus.
Personally, I don't have much to report, but I'm happy to defer to Lynn or Mike and just see if they'd like to give a quick update on Finger Lakes hires. We already had some props from that a few minutes ago.
Actually, we're going to defer to Jen because she does the best job of keeping track of all the analytics. And Jennifer Duvall, thank you so much. Really appreciate the feedback on running the hires campaign. We ran that at the end of the year, and we had some additional blips at the beginning of the year. So it's really gratifying to hear that you saw, having 30 and 40 people come in, consecutively month to month is really, really gratifying to hear. So Jen, with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Lynn. So lately, the hires campaign, we've been focusing on our Have You Heard platform, and we are promoting the Department of Labor virtual workshops. They have about 50 a month, which it's really great. So we pick 2 to 3 a week and share the link on our social media and our Facebook page. All right, and our website. And we've also been using the platform to thank the Finger Lakes Works with Their Hands sponsors. We've been doing a freestanding image, video, something that also carries the event QR code. So anyone can scan that code and find the latest updates for the event. And then on the day of the event, they will be able to scan that code and see the program and all the Google form evaluation forms for the event. So you can see that the numbers are a little low on the website, but that website traffic was not really our point of these thank you posts. It was really more of a push on social media. We were able to, where possible, where the permissions allowed, we were able to tag the businesses and their social media accounts. And you can see over here that these numbers were really good based on the audience, our organic audience. And these are not paid or targeted posts. These are just the people already in our audience and their friends. And we still also promote recent news articles, especially Ms. Parrish's recent promotion at Generations. Congratulations, Ms. Parrish. And as you can see, that did extremely well on social media.
Yay, Lori, congratulations.
I didn't realize I was so popular.
Congratulations, Lori.
I have a couple of kids who are very social. That's probably why.
It got shared many, many times. So yes, you were very popular. All right, and that's about all I have.
That the tagging of the businesses who are also active on social media is the big key there?
I'm sorry?
You are finding, though, that the social media business tagging, the other businesses who are active on social media helps our performance there?
It does. And especially when Senator Helming becomes aware of any of our posts, and when she shares those, we really see an uptick in website views.
I also want to
across the board, it would be helpful, anybody on the Workforce Investment Board who can contact their marketing department to say on social media, please help tag us with Finger Lakes Works because we're represented on the board, and it's good for all of us to work together in that effort.
And I also want to recognize Jen. Jen continues to go through marketing and outreach classes. And if you get a chance, check out whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, check out our pages. She's got there, it gets more and more creative and more slick all the time. So we're really proud of her. And we're proud of our website and all of our social media platforms really moving into, what social media is supposed to do. So congratulations to you too, Jen. We're proud of all the work that you do for us.
All right, so moving right along. Jen, can we get back to the agenda? Performance and evaluation, Ms. Baker.
Good morning. The Performance and Evaluation Committee met at the end of April. We had some center updates with regards to the DOL offices. Mr. Wilson shared with us some preliminary numbers for Career Center services, individualized and custom training, and OJT that's going on for this program year, which will be continued. We had some program updates with regard to Skill Up Finger Lakes. We got some updates on some job fairs that were going on, and also information on an opioid grant. Some additional funds have been received from the DOL, and customers are being sought for that program. That's scheduled to end at the end of June. Talked about some outreach activities and had some cluster updates. And our next meeting is scheduled for June, at the end of June.
All right, thank you very much. Economic Development Committee, Mr. Manikowski.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. With Mike Willison, I'll give a little report. We did meet earlier in the year, looking at the really before the state budget, looking at the new workforce development initiatives, and had a presentation on the status at that time. We probably will be getting together again in the second quarter here, sometime June or July, to kind of see where that's gone and what may be available for our economic developers and our workforce providers with the new initiatives from the governor. Mike, you want to add anything to that?
Just that we'll reconvene the committee probably on June 30th, depending on schedules. So our tentative date is June 30th.
Very good. And we'll do follow up on that and other topics, especially updates on just where the national economy is going, and how that's going to affect us locally, the macro look. So that's what we anticipate. And that's it, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you very much. Youth Committee, Ms. Parrish.
Okay, we have not met since the last board meeting, but our next meeting is scheduled for June 8th at 3 o'clock. And I believe we're going to offer the in-person option. We can as a committee, right?
Yes, that is correct, Lori.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Anybody's welcome to attend. I imagine we'll be talking a little bit about the Finger Lakes Works event coming up at FLCC. Dre will probably give us an update on how that's panning out. And if anyone has any topics that they think we should be covering that maybe I haven't mentioned yet, please shoot me an email. Thank you.
Can we give the highlights of Finger Lakes Works with Their Hands? I think it's around 1,000 students that are headed for FLCC. When is that?
So it's actually next Wednesday on May 25th. We got some final numbers. So there will actually be about 600 total students and chaperones from 25 school districts in the area that will be coming, descending on Finger Lakes Community College next Wednesday. So we have about, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we have about 55 exhibitors in agriculture, healthcare, and manufacturing and skilled trades. And it'll work very similarly to previous years, just a little different look because it's a different venue. So we're kind of finalizing a lot of things in the next week, and it will go off without a hitch. And it will be 70 and sunny, or just sunny and whatever temperature it wants to be.
Yeah. Thanks for all your work on that.
How many students did you say, Drea?
There's about 600 attendees from the school districts, and I think 65 of those are chaperones. So 550-ish, 540.
That's not bad for missing it for a year or so.
Yeah.
Years.
That's good.
Yep. And how you doing on volunteers? Are you set there, or are you still looking for people?
We have about 60 volunteers, a lot of them from FLCC, which would be really helpful because some of the mapping is a little confusing when they have to walk through the hallways. So we don't have to do the food service. So we actually have more people to do to be tour guides and then float around to make sure that the exhibitors are good and everybody knows where they're going. So we're pretty set with that right now. But if anybody does want to volunteer, please let me know.
Very good.
Okay, thank you. FAME update, that's me. So FAME's been working on going through a strategic planning process. And where we're at with that, we've had a focus group, kind of broaden that out a little bit to make sure that we're on the right track. We've come up with 4 pillars that FAME will be focused on going forward. And that's continuing its original mission of promoting advanced manufacturing careers here in the region, doing corporate tours, internships, that sort of thing. Gathering input from manufacturers in the region to make sure that our educational programs are getting people workplace ready. Listening to the voice of the employers and representing or advocating for employers at the state and federal level. And then the 4th one would be sharing best practices and informing employers of maybe ways that they can improve their good jobs and make sure they're giving their employees a good work-life balance, that sort of thing. So that's been moving along, and we're looking to have an annual meeting with all of our stakeholders in the fall, in October. So there's quite a bit going on there to get ready for that. That's a FAME update. Director's report. Ms. Freed?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I'm going to make this very brief. At 9 o'clock sharp, we've got our first presenter coming on, so I'm going to make this very brief. First, I want to share that we've got a new board and several of the committee update on the schedules. So that's been sent out. It'll be sent out again in this packet. So please take a look at the schedules because there's been some change in the volume of meetings and that's gone down. Secondly, there'll be a posting for a youth coordinator here at the WIB. That's going to come out in June. Thirdly, we've been working on the WIOA contract with the 4 partners. And at this point in time, Seneca County has chosen not to renew the WIOA contract. I have a meeting later this afternoon with the Department of Labor to better understand what that means. So currently at the end of this program year, June 30th, there's an opening slot for a provider for the WIOA contract. I'll have more information after the meeting this afternoon and we'll provide updates as needed and as appropriate. But I need to better understand what this means and engaging a next provider for that county. Lastly, I wanted to share that the Office of Strategic Workforce Development is reconvening. So Finger Lakes REDC, that was up and going a few years ago and has been quiet for the last couple of years, is reinitiating and restarting again. So there'll be additional information coming out from that, which is a nice segue into our guest presenter. We're a couple minutes early here. I'm not sure if she's online and waiting. Jen and Joham, can you let us, can we get an update on that?
Yeah, I just sent her a text to let her know that we've gone through the agenda. So I expect that she'll be on very shortly, but yeah, I don't see her on quite yet.
All right, so we have a couple minutes. If we want to go ahead and go through the resolutions, I'll offer that while we're waiting.
Yeah, actually, I'd like to wait on that, Lynn. I think it'll take more than a couple minutes, but I do have another update that I want to share with the group. Over the past several months, there's been a focus group in the region that's been led by Rochester Works to put together a Finger Lakes proposal for the Good Jobs Challenge. And this is an initiative or a program that's funded at the federal level under the American Rescue Plan. The Finger Lakes proposal asks for $21 million. It's for training and workforce development to fill more than 2,000 jobs over 3 years. There are 3 primary sectors. That's healthcare, skilled trades, and manufacturing. In healthcare, the lead organization there would be Finger Lakes Performing Provider System. In skilled trades, it's Unicon. And in manufacturing, it's the RTMA, the Rochester Technology and Manufacturing Association. This is serving the 9-county Finger Lakes region. And the expectation is, or the way it was laid out is 9 months of design of the program and then 27 months of training to get 2,000 or more people trained up and employed. And again, that was a $21 million ask in the proposal. I know there's a few people in the meeting here that participated in that. Those are the highlights I have. If you have questions, Lee and Dave at Finger Lakes Work or at Rochester Works led this, and they can address your concerns.
Would you share that contact information with everybody? I just wanted to throw in a comment because, I can't keep quiet. Once again, an effort has left out hospitality, tourism, and retail, which is an important thing in our region. So I'm not quite sure how they chose the areas to focus on. I realize they're all important, but this is one that's really important to our region, I think.
Yeah, you're right,
Do you
Lori.
have any idea about that, Rick?
Yeah, and that was talked about, and the sectors that were chosen are sectors that need a higher level of training to get people employed.
Hey, Rick, Rob, but still, there's a higher level of training for that area too. But so I would argue that there is some training that's necessary to do some of that, depending what it is. But also the other one is IT activities, whether or not software programming, cybersecurity, networking, that there's a technical need for that as well.
Yeah, for sure, Rob. And actually, FLCC has some great programs for people that are interested in that kind of career path. So
Thanks for sharing that information, Rick.
Yeah, and like I said, if you are interested in discussing more, the guys at Rochester Works would be happy to hear input from other constituents or stakeholders in our community. Lynn, that's all I've got on that.
Perfect timing. Our presenter is on board and ready to go. So I'm very happy to present Commissioner of Labor, Roberta Reardon. Commissioner Reardon was appointed in October of 2015 to oversee the Department of Labor, and she was confirmed in June of 2016. Commissioner Reardon comes with an extensive history in labor union, including teaching at the Cornell CUNY Labor Relations Certificate Program. So I'm going to turn it over to her as she's going through her overview of the New York State budget. If you have any questions, please put them in chat. We'll be able to see them there the most quickly. And I'll assist in facilitating getting those questions to her, or raise your, use your the little icon there, reaction, to raise your hand if you have any questions or comments. Commissioner Reardon, welcome. We're pleased to have you join us this morning.
Thank you very, very much. Before we begin, I'd like to ask you to please join me for a brief moment of silence in honor of the victims of the horrific mass shooting last weekend in Buffalo. Thank you for that. And thank you, Lynn, for that introduction. I want to recognize you and the entire Finger Lakes Workforce Investment Board for helping to connect New Yorkers in your region to training opportunities. You're doing fabulous work, and we couldn't do it without you. I'm so pleased to be here today to provide you with this update. Governor Hochul's ambitious, newly approved budget is going to kick off a new era for New York State by putting us on the fast track towards success, longevity, and prosperity. Workforce development is a key ingredient in the governor's recipe for economic success. And with the help of partners like you, we are poised to put more New Yorkers on the path towards great careers, while also providing our businesses with the skilled workforce that they need to keep our vibrant economy going. The $221 billion spending plan will make historic investments that will positively impact the lives of New Yorkers for years to come. This plan is socially responsible and fiscally prudent, while also helping us navigate safely through this pandemic. Governor Hochul knows how to fight battles on several fronts, while also planning for rainy days, because let's face it, we've learned over the last 2 years how suddenly things can change. We must remain cautious of long-term economic erosion caused by the pandemic. She is making sure that we are prepared by ensuring that certain strategic worst-case calculations are built into the budget. And in order to build back better, we must revitalize on all fronts. Governor Hochul is going to do just that. The bottom line is that we are making smart investments. Excuse me. We know that the federal funds helping to make all of this possible will eventually run out, and New York is planning for that. As the governor put her agenda together, the most important question has always been, are recurring revenues aligned with recurring expenditures? And the answer, whether we're talking about each policy and initiative individually or about the overall agenda, is absolutely yes. Governor Hochul is adamant about not putting our state in a bind by creating new programs or expenses we can't pay for. For the first time ever, we have no out-year gaps, and that is incredible. All of these commitments are either one-time expenditures or they are supported by the expectation of a reasonable growth in revenue as forecasted by our Department of Budget. Governor Hochul wants to provide instant relief by putting more money back into people's pockets. She's accelerating a $1.2 billion tax cut, so more than 6 million middle-class taxpayers get that money sooner. This is coming at the perfect time, considering how so many families are struggling to get ahead or, in some cases, even stay afloat because of inflation. This tax cut will benefit over 319,000 Finger Lakes taxpayers. Governor Hochul's plan is providing a middle-class property tax rebate to 2.5 million homeowners, projected to total over $2 billion. That includes relief to an estimated 245,000 property tax-paying households in the Finger Lakes region. And speaking of relief, I know we could all use a break from the painful prices at the pump. Good news, help is on the way. Just days ago, the governor announced a $585 million in gas tax relief across the state. It starts in June and runs through the end of this year. I also understand that many counties are also suspending their gas taxes, providing additional savings for drivers. And I know that comes as very good news in your region. We're also delivering $250 million for small businesses statewide to help offset the COVID-19 related expenses, which we know have been quite high for some businesses. New York State is also making an unprecedented investment in education. The state will provide $31.5 billion in aid for our schools, continuing our commitment to fully fund foundation aid, bringing us to the highest level of state aid for education ever. In the Finger Lakes, we will see a $182.9 million increase in school aid, including a $120.8 million increase in foundation aid. I know that's great news for the entire region. We will also be providing $125 million in additional funding for full day pre-kindergarten. This is creating 17,500 more seats across New York State. This will help ease childcare issues for many families, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that later in this presentation. New York State is also giving more support to our higher education institutions because they not only train our workforce, they are also major drivers of regional innovation and economic development. You are so fortunate to have great schools like SUNY Geneseo, SUNY Brockport, Finger Lakes Community College, and all of the other great colleges in your region. These campuses will continue to be critical to our economic vitality. We're going to increase operational support for SUNY and CUNY by over $500 million. We're also investing $150 million to expand TAP funding to part-time students, so those who need to support their families can still pursue their dreams while bringing home a paycheck. Very, very good news for about 75,000 students. This assistance will also be available to incarcerated individuals as part of our Jails to Jobs initiative, because they also need a future. I was fortunate to be co-chair with Governor Hochul of the Child Care Availability Task Force, and I can tell you firsthand, we have a big problem, and it's only been worsened by the pandemic, which is why we are taking long overdue steps now to fix it before it's too late. Working parents need childcare. It is absolutely essential to their ability to work and be part of our economy, which is why the state is investing $7 billion over the next 4 years into childcare. We will make hundreds of thousands more families eligible for childcare subsidies, and we'll invest more in childcare workers because they are a critical support structure to working families everywhere. We're going to really ramp up our support for projects that revitalize our downtown areas across the state, because we know they bring so much character to our individual communities. They attract and drive tourism and spur further economic activity. And as you can see, we are dedicating $450 million statewide. So be sure to stay tuned for more on this exciting development. The state is also combating homelessness everywhere across the state. Governor Hochul's budget is launching a $25 billion 5-year housing plan to ensure that more New Yorkers have a roof over their heads. New York will also accelerate economic growth and create good paying jobs. And I am actually very proud to be a part of this part of the budget. The governor recently announced $350 million for workforce development programs and initiatives. And this includes the creation of the Office of Strategic Economic Workforce Development. The DOL is so excited to work with this new partner, as well as with ESD, SUNY, and other partners to create new career opportunities for New Yorkers. Workforce development is going to play a significant role in our recovery. And with all of the projects that are coming down the pike, this is truly a moment of unprecedented opportunity for all of New York's workforce. It's so important in this era of lifelong learning that New Yorkers get the skills they need and continue to upskill, because that's how we stay ahead of the curve in the global market. Another part of the plan is to attract more businesses to the Empire State. $200 million is being allocated to help in that effort, because more businesses means additional job opportunities for skilled New Yorkers. Governor Hochul is also taking steps to protect our planet, because let's face it, climate change is here. We see the evidence every year, and it threatens our community, our state, our nation, our entire globe. By making moves towards greater sustainability today, we are setting up our children for a better environment tomorrow, while also creating new jobs for New Yorkers statewide. The budget invests $4 million into the historic Clean Water, Clean Air, and Green Jobs Environmental Bond Act, and the largest ever investment in the Environmental Protection Act, the Environmental Protection Fund. Now, here's a great list of other investments of note that you'll see specifically in your region, including $2 million for a veterans cemetery in Seneca County, $10 million for Frontier Field to upgrade Rochester's AAA baseball stadium to new Major League Baseball standards, $43 million for upgrades at the popular Seneca Zoo, nearly $50 million for local roads and bridges through the CHIPS program, $13 million to fix potholes through the Pave Our Potholes program. That's going to be a very popular program across the state. And $52.5 million to the Rochester Genesee Regional Transportation Authority. Much needed infrastructure. These projects and much more are part of the largest ever state investment in our infrastructure, a $32.8 billion capital plan that will help us finally address repairs to our roads and bridges, build new transit options, modernize existing transit hubs, and revitalize our communities. We're also making an historic $20 billion investment in our healthcare system, because these are the heroes of our pandemic. The plan includes $1.2 billion in bonuses for frontline healthcare workers and $7.7 billion to raise the wages of home care workers. Now remember, this budget is an all levers approach. So the governor is also committing $2.4 billion to upgrade and repair infrastructure in our healthcare system. It's so important that we invest in our healthcare system on every level, including the facilities where these heroes care for us. We're also going to advance our fight against addiction. The budget includes $30 million for addiction treatment, recovery, and prevention in the Finger Lakes region. Much needed investment. New York State is also going to address our criminal justice system by advancing policies that place heavy emphasis on making our communities safer, while also ensuring that our system, our criminal justice system, is fair for everybody. New York State is also finally closing loopholes around raise the age and discovery. We are expanding factors that judges consider, such as violent crime and gun charges, when they're setting bail. We're ending the cycle of repeat offenders, cracking down on gun violence, and protecting domestic and hate crime victims. We're also providing more resources to district attorneys across the state. And we are investing in mental health services so New Yorkers who are struggling get the quality care they need and deserve. Everyone deserves to feel safe in their community, and New York State is prioritizing public safety. We're investing $227 million into programs that will reduce gun violence. The deadly mass shooting in Buffalo is just another tragic example of why we need meaningful gun reform now. Governor Hochul was already pushing for change and remains focused on this issue because losing even one New Yorker is one too many. We will triple funding in support for gun violence research and the SNUG outreach program, commit over $13 million to expand the use of community stabilization units, and devote $20 million to respond to regional needs in the aftermath of gun violence. There is so much more on the horizon due to the strategic budget. Governor Hochul is addressing the looming teacher shortage crisis. Our teacher workforce is so vulnerable right now, and we must reverse this trend. Enrollment in state K through 12 teacher education programs decreased by more than 53% over the last decade. And factor in that a full third of our teacher workforce is nearing retirement age. This is a disaster right on our doorsteps. We must rebuild this workforce, and Governor Hochul is taking significant steps to make that happen. The budget creates a state teacher residency program to bring more teachers into schools sooner while providing greater opportunity for support and training. The state will also expand alternative teacher certification programs to make it easier to become a teacher. And the governor is spearheading a renewed effort to ramp up economic growth to spur job creation, confront the opioid epidemic, make housing more affordable, implement new measures to restore faith in state government, and much, much more. So again, this was just a very broad overview of the approved budget plan. It's important that we all keep in mind that while the COVID-19 pandemic lingers, there is hope. Governor Hochul and the legislature have complete confidence that we will not only recover from this emergency, but we will be triumphant. We will emerge stronger than ever before in every way imaginable. All we need to do is what we've always done, and that is stick together. The pandemic will be remembered as one of the greatest challenges in New York State history. But if we stick together, we might look back on this as our defining moment. Collectively, we are all writing what could be the greatest economic recovery story ever told. Thank you so much for inviting me today. This concludes the budget presentation. And I should note this information is on the governor's website and obviously much greater detail. And now I'm very happy to say we have time for questions.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. A great report and a lot of great hopeful things and resources to look forward to. Does anyone have any questions? Either just go ahead and raise your hand, or if you want to drop it in the chat box.
I have a question, Lynn.
Go ahead, Lori.
I'm glad to hear there's some focus on childcare. I have one additional question. The amount of subsidies is great for the non-rural areas, but I have a strong sense that in the rural regions, the lack of providers is more of an urgent thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything in the budget addressing that?
So some of the money, what happened during the pandemic across the state, both in rural and urban areas, because childcare facilities had to go to half capacity because of COVID precautions, a lot of them had to close because they simply couldn't afford to stay open. And that has exacerbated an already very difficult problem. So some of the money in the budget goes to supporting those childcare centers and helping them, come back online, improve their facilities. We are very aware, the childcare task force met for 2.5 years, and the childcare deserts were a large topic of conversation, and those occur in urban areas and of course in rural areas as well. So the governors are focusing across the state. Money's going to the providers and to the workers. So there's going to be support for everybody. But I hear you, it is definitely a huge problem in the rural area. Anybody who has the migrant workers, ABCD programs, they're getting a significant chunk of money, so they will be able to expand their operations as well.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Commissioner, do you want to talk at all about, I believe the
I'm
correct
sorry,
term is.
Lynn, I had my hand up. This is Eileen.
Oh, I missed it,
Oh,
Eileen.
sorry
Now I
about
see
that.
you. Yep, go ahead, Eileen. Thank
So-
you.
Well, I wanted to jump on this childcare thing before we moved on. Commissioner Reardon, thank you for coming to us this morning. It's so good to hear kind of what's on your mind. I'm the Commissioner of Social Services here in Ontario County. So my role is in daycare payments. And I would just really encourage you, and kind of alluded to this, that raising the eligibility level for families, while that's fine, I can certainly get behind that. The issue is still availability. We are in one of the childcare deserts. And honestly, one of the challenges for daycare providers is the enormous complexity of daycare regulation. So it's really a disincentive for especially small providers to get in the daycare business. You know, we've been meeting with OCFS now for months about improving the availability of childcare. And we have really been encouraging them to do a statewide campaign, marketing campaign for new providers. And they have honestly said to the counties, that's up to you. Well, that's not, you know, we got enough on our hands here at DSS without trying to do county by county marketing. So we would really appreciate whatever support you could lend us in this, in recognizing it's not just about, I applaud the increasing wages, and because these people are dramatically underpaid for the work that they do.
Yeah.
Plus the rates that, when we talk about childcare subsidies, the rates are also dramatically below what private centers pay. So if we're talking about making daycare available to low wage working families, the rates that we are allowed to pay must be more competitive, which means that we'll be able to spend those dollars, but only if we can pay more for the low income childcare.
So Commissioner Poole from OCFS was my fellow co-chair on the task force, and I know that she is deeply, deeply involved in this, and I will talk to her about it. As you know, more than anybody here, it is a highly complex system. And, you know, I understand the difficulty with the complex regulations, but we all understand that they're there to protect the children, and it's very hard to change those laws because people think we are endangering children. So we really have to think about how we can streamline our regulations without causing any harm. But I totally hear you. We've done research at the DOL about workers coming back into the workforce from the pandemic. And one of the significant reasons that a lot of employers can't find the workers they need is because mothers cannot find childcare or cannot afford to work because the cost of the childcare is too high. Right. So, you know, it's a significant problem, and the pandemic really exposed it. So I will be very happy to continue having these conversations because I agree with you. We need to find a solution. We need women in the workforce.
Yeah. Also significantly non-traditional hours.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Daycare
yes.
centers are, you know, 7 to 7 generally.
Second shift, weekends. You know, we talk to nurses, people who work in construction. You know, it's very, very difficult. So we're very aware of it. But thank you, and thank you for everything you do. I know it's a tough job.
Thank you, Eileen. Next is Pete Beckes. Pete, do you want to go ahead and ask your question, or do you want me to read it? Go ahead. I see you're online. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to. Thank you, Commissioner. I was just curious if you could talk a little bit about where investing in TAP falls on the state's priority list. Appreciate the investment in SUNY and CUNY, which is going to do a lot of good, but there's so many private institutions in our region that I think an investment in TAP could also help.
Well, you know that we're expanding TAP to part-time students, and that is a huge change. We know that many, many people further their education, particularly in the two-year community colleges, but they're adults and they have to work. And that, you know, before that, it excluded them from getting any financial support. This really opens the door for people who may not be able to go full-time or may need to get, you know, a certification that will advance their careers. Now they'll have TAP funds to help alleviate some of that cost. And that change will impact, I think, 75,000 students. So that is great news. And it's great news for the community colleges as well, because that ensures that they have a steady stream of people who are using their services.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Pete. Next, I see Mr. Plimpton. Rick, go ahead.
Well, thank you for sharing with us today, Commissioner. It's great to hear this overview of what's coming. I'm curious, when do you expect monies to start flowing into the Finger Lakes region? And to put a finer point on it, if I'm a frontline healthcare worker, when can I expect to see a pandemic bonus check?
I don't know the actual date. I know that they have been very deep in negotiations, and we want to get it out the door as soon as possible, because obviously, you know, when you tell somebody a bonus is coming, it's only a bonus if it actually arrives. But, you know, it is in the budget, it is approved, and I think they're just working through the mechanics of getting it out to the folks, but it's on its way. Yes.
Thanks, Rick. Joe Davis, are you still on? Do you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for all the great information, and you know, really looking forward to making some progress on a lot of these issues. One of the things that I see a lot nowadays is you know, real struggle to get folks to stay in teaching jobs, to attract people to other civil service jobs like child protective services, and one of the big reasons is, you know, the incentive of the retirement system has really disappeared. You know, tier 6 retirement, there is no match like there was in you know, previous years. Is there plans to address that within this plan to try to draw people back into those jobs?
So, you know, the governor is very aware of the need for new people coming into government service, and we are working on multiple fronts to accomplish that. In this budget, there was an alteration of tier 6. I think you vest in 5 years instead of 10, and there's something else. I don't know what the other fix was, but they are working on it. I would assume that that's only the first of things that they want to do. But the other thing that we found, and we are actually doing a campaign at the Department of Labor to campaign for people coming into state service. And one of the things we noticed is a lot of younger people don't know about the civil service tests, and they are unfamiliar with the process. So we are working with civil service to do a campaign, a public awareness campaign, to help young people coming out of college to understand what great opportunities they are here in the state system. The other thing we know about workers today, as opposed to workers from probably your generation and I have no idea how old you are, but I bet you're over 40. You know, our generations wanted a steady job, and they wanted a career path within an industry. Young people today don't have that expectation. They expect to job hop within the same occupation, but they don't expect to spend their entire career with one employer. That is a very big difference. So one of the things we're thinking about in this public campaign for getting people into state service, instead of thinking about New York State as one employer, if you could think about New York State as an umbrella, and underneath that umbrella are so many opportunities in agencies and other work areas. So you don't necessarily do that one job your entire life. You could work as an LSR at the Department of Labor and then transfer over to the Department of Health to have another kind of test. You could have the variation that young people are looking for, but it's within the umbrella of New York State. And so we're really thinking about how do we shake it up and make it more contemporary for young people. But I hear you, we desperately need new talent in the state. Lots of folks are getting ready to walk out the door.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you, Joe. I'm not seeing any other hands up, and I think I've exhausted the questions in chat. Any final questions or comments, anyone? Okay, Commissioner Reardon, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure. Thanks for sharing the information and taking the time out to answer some questions.
Well,
We
thank you.
appreciate
And
your work.
thanks to all of you, because I know you are deeply involved in your community, and that's where the real work gets done. So thank you very much for everything you all do. And I hope to come see you in person one of these days.
Excellent. We look forward to that.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, so now it's time to get on to the consent agenda. So should we do approval of minutes first? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the January 19 meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. I see a second by Dr. Nye. All right, any questions, comments with regard to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, let's take a vote. Everyone in favor, say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, and the minutes are adopted. So Lynn, consent agenda, you want to give us highlights and we'll take this as a block, or do you want to do it differently than that?
I leave it to you. If you want me to kind of, do you want me to just go through them one by one? And if folks have questions as we go along and then take it as a block, you want to do that?
Yeah, let's try that.
Okay. Okay, resolution 09-21. This is the SCION, which is the Disabilities Resource Coordinator position. So we've been talking about this. This is to accept the $300,000 over a 3-year period for this position to work within our area to assist with individuals with disabilities, really connecting with the agencies that are out there and reinforcing and improving communications, networking, and overall services. Any questions on that one? Next is 10-21. This is the acceptance of the Opioid National Dislocated Worker Grant Funds. So we were issued an additional $177,000 for the last quarter to be completed by June 30th. Those dollars are available and have been available for the last few months. Next is 11-21. Folks, if anybody has any questions as we're going, just shout it out, okay? The next is 11-21. This is approval of the WIBS Financial Policy and Procedures Manual. This has gone through F&A and been approved, through executive and been approved. So that one's ready for board approval.
Hey, Lynn, can we go back to the opioid?
Sure.
So are those monies going to be spent by the end of June? Are we on target?
Yeah, so to date, these are very specified funds, and today in checking with our workforce managers and the partners such as Flacker, we did a lot with Flacker that time. It's actually been pretty flat, unfortunately.
So you're saying they're not all going to be spent?
At this point in time, unless something has happened just recently, Mike Wilson, do you know anything different than what I'm saying?
No, unfortunately, we've been trying to promote it, and this is a program that we've had for a couple of years, and initially we had a staff person really involved with it, connecting with the different agencies out there. And so I think the state is probably feeling the same thing. And so a couple of months ago, Department of Labor came out with this additional funding because I think they had that was extra from the original grant. So we're working on it. We've got a few people that are in the system that we're providing training grants to. And this program works with anybody that has been impacted by the opioid crisis. So that includes not only people that are in recovery, but their family members, anybody. And if people are interested in going into the drug counseling industry, we can provide funds for those folks, even though they haven't been impacted by the opioid.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate the information.
So I believe that brings us back to 12-21, which is approval of the slate of officers that were already mentioned. Next is 13-21. This is a transfer of this is a transfer of funds. Initially, we had discussed $100,000, but we're on target actually and doing well, and it makes more sense. And so we increased this from $200,000 from dislocated worker. We're not seeing a lot of opportunity right now with dislocated worker criteria, but we are with adult. So we just figured we'd move more over because we're doing more work there and feel comfortable that we can do that. So that's that resolution. 14-21 is the approval of additional training programs and providers. We had two this round, Monroe BOCES 2 for the CDL Class B and MCC for the welding and fabrication program. Next is the approval of existing WIB youth policies, which is 15-21. Next, also youth is individual training account is 16-21. Next is 17-21. This is to accept the new budget and for program PY22. And as you'll see, and as Debbie mentioned, we're waiting for those final numbers. And we will need a June board meeting to finalize that once everything's in and we can put the appropriate numbers in. And you'll see for Seneca County, as I mentioned prior, Seneca County has chosen not to continue on with the WIOA contract. We're leaving a placeholder there for who does come in next to ensure that we use all of those funds for Seneca County. Next is 18-21. This is the adoption of our budget for going from PY21 to PY22. Again, we're waiting for finalized numbers and we'll have that out for final approval. And then lastly is 19-21, which is the approval of the continuation of the one-stop operator that is required by WIOA law to have. We work with Genesee Valley one-stop operator, and it's a continuation of that contract. Any questions? That's all of them. Any questions on any of the resolutions?
Okay, thanks, Lynn. Can I get a motion to accept these as a block?
Also move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Coyne. All right, last chance. Any comments, questions, concerns? All right, let's take a vote then. Everyone in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? And they are adopted. Thank you. All right, presentation at Keuka College.
So we had one update with this, Rick, that we just found out this morning, and it's not going to be Pete, or excuse me, it's not going to be Mark that's joining us. We're happy to welcome Ashley, I believe it's Larimore, I hope I'm saying that correctly, to talk to us about Keuka College. And we're ready for that presentation. Thank you. Jen or Pete, do we know if we need to do anything on our end to connect? Is Ashley ready?
Let's
She has been admitted.
also have Ann Perkowski here too. Looks like they're in, but I'm not sure if I can see them.
Good morning. This is Ashley. I'm not sure. Is Ann in the call?
I am. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I had to unmute, of course. Always has to be one of us.
All right. Are we all set to get started, Pete?
Go right ahead.
So good morning. My name is Ashley Larimore. I am the Director of Admissions at Keuka College. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to chat with you today about some of our evening and online program offerings. I've been with the college almost 8 years now, and have had the opportunity to study my undergraduate program as a traditional student on campus right out of high school. And most recently earned my master's degree studying through our Master's in Management online program. So it was great because we do offer that traditional setting of being in the classroom and having an on-campus experience. But for those busy working adults, the online program is very flexible. I was able to complete my master's while working full-time and be able to sign on at times that were convenient for me to complete my assignments. So something I'm really passionate about for my personal experience, and then logistically ends up being a great option for maybe some of you on this call or employees that you're working with or different clients. So we're excited to share more information about what we offer. On this call today, I have Ann Burkowski. She is our Assistant Director of Admissions. She works very closely with students and busy working adults who are interested in completing their degree. We have options for undergraduate programs and graduate programs. We even have a postmaster's certificate for nursing. So she is going to share more information about what we offer, how we deliver those programs, and help answer any questions you might have about partnering with the college and helping your teams to develop in your workforce. So I'll turn it over to Ann, and we do have a slide deck. Ann, do you have access to share your screen?
Would you be able to share this deck?
Yeah.
That would be great. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm so excited to be here with you all this morning and talk more about something I'm really passionate about, which is these incredible programs we offer here at Keuka College in an evening and online format. Of course, we also have all of our wonderful on-campus offerings, and we'd love to share more information about that with you as well. And we're going to be bringing up our slide deck in a minute. Oh, here we go. All right, welcome. So there we are. That's our gorgeous campus right here on the shores of Keuka Lake. Now, for our evening and online students, they have the opportunity to complete their programs in either an online or a hybrid format. But they also have on-campus privileges, so they're able to come visit our campus for any resources they need. There are some great things about our evening and online programs. One of the most exciting updates to share is that we are listed as an eligible training provider through New York State. So that means that students are eligible to pursue that eligible training provider funding. So if you are working with anybody and you would like to connect on that, we'd love to talk more. We're listed across several counties. And like I said, our admissions staff would be thrilled to talk about that. They're also really affordable programs because the students are attending either hybrid or online. It is reflected in a way that's made, the programs are designed to be really affordable for anybody who is also working and are balancing other responsibilities in their life. They're flexible. So for students who maybe need to pause in completing their program, that is something that our student success advisor and our professors are really comfortable helping you navigate. They're also convenient. So one of the things that I find students really respond to is that for our courses that are meeting synchronously one night a week, that night stays the same for their whole program. So they're not needing to change their schedule every semester to accommodate attending their classes. So Ashley, our wonderful director of admissions, shared that we have undergraduate, graduate, and postmaster certification options available. For our bachelor's degrees, we do have an RN to BS in nursing program. We offer a great business management program, criminal justice, social work, and one of our newer programs is community health and wellness. Community health and wellness is a wonderful program for individuals who are interested in working with the healthcare industry, but maybe for one reason or another don't necessarily want to pursue their nursing degree. For our master's degree, we offer our nurse practitioner in adult gerontology which is a really well-respected program. We also offer a postmaster certification for any nurses who have completed their NP in a different discipline and are looking to complete that adult gerontology discipline. We offer our MSM program. We actually offer our master's in management both on campus. You can get it done in a year on campus, or you can join us in a fully online MSM. Ashley can speak to what a great experience that is, just being able to really balance work with completing your master's coursework. And then we also offer an MSW program. We offer that both fully online and as a hybrid where students can attend on campus. The fully online, we're really excited to launch this fall, and that program is available in a part-time format as well. Does anyone have any questions about any of our programs yet? I know it's a lot of information. I don't see any. Okay, we're going to carry on. So a lot of students, when they first connect with us, often have completed some college credits and are looking to complete their degree. And it's usually been a minute since they've attended courses. So there can be some anxiety surrounding that and and wanting to know how they're going to be able to be successful. Here at Keuka College, we are really student-centered in how we plan our offerings. So nobody is ever on their own. Throughout the whole process, students are connected with their admissions counselors, to their student success advisors, to their faculty advisors. And then we have additional support for our distance learners. As I mentioned, we have our student success advisors. So they are the point of contact for students throughout their entire program, whether it's questions about a schedule or whether it's wanting to connect with more resources. All of our students know exactly who their person is that they can work with. We have an incredible writing center that offers assistance to students who are maybe out of practice with writing papers. I know for myself, I went to grad school well after I finished my undergraduate degree, and I was a little rusty at first with writing papers. So the Writing Center is available for both in-person and virtual appointments. We have our Leitner Library, which provides access to print holdings and electronic resources, full text databases, e-journals, e-books. It really offers our students everything they could possibly need to complete successful research for their classes. We also have our Office of Accessibility, and that is for anybody who needs additional accommodations. They are really approachable, very knowledgeable, and work very closely with our students to make sure that they have all the supports in place for them to be successful in their courses. Now, it's a time for us to brag. Here at Keuka College, we're very proud of our incredible accomplishments here. One of the things that I find most valuable, most incredible, is that the New York Times nationally ranks Keuka College in the top 10% for economic mobility of graduates. That means our students are left off significantly economically better when they complete their courses than when they joined us. For myself, I have found that every time I've been able to sort of unlock another level of education, I've been able to access better wages, better benefits, and I'm really proud to work for an institution that has demonstrated that improvement for people. We've also been named a College of Distinction since 2014 for high quality student engagement, our teaching, our vibrant campus community, our successful outcomes. And we've been Money's Best Colleges since 2019. So we're really proud of our accomplishments, and we think that that shows in how we deliver our programs. Another question that a lot of students will come to us with will be the affordability of pursuing their education at Keuka College. We have many financial aid opportunities available. We have scholarships, grants. Often our students are eligible for employer tuition assistance benefits. There are also military benefits, and then all of our programs are eligible for standard financial aid. And we work with our students to go step by step throughout the process, answer any of their questions. And then of course, also we have that eligible training provider funding available to students as well who qualify. And for our application process, I mean, I know for myself, when I applied to college many years ago, it was not nearly this easy. It's completely free online to access our applications right there at the link that is on our website. And you will be connected with an admissions counselor who will talk you through each step of the process. Most of our programs at the undergraduate level, the additional application materials you would require would be your official transcripts. And they can be sent directly to the school, and we can talk through requesting transcripts for anybody who that is a newer process. And then if there are any supplemental items, especially at the graduate level, such as letters of recommendation, those are all listed right on the website. So we make sure that you've got all the information you can need to successfully apply to your program, and just we're with you every step of the way.
All right, thank you so much, Anne. I'm going to go ahead and end the slideshow. All right, so thank you for the presentation. I also just want to add, in addition to some of the other the financial aid opportunities, we are partnering with different companies and organizations. So if you or someone you know might be interested in partnering with Keuka College, we do have flexibility to offer specific scholarships or tuition discount agreements for not only the employee, but direct family members and immediate family members. So if that is something you are interested in, you can contact either Ann or myself here at Keuka College, and we can start those conversations to see if there might be great opportunities for you or someone you know. Are there any questions about Keuka College, the programs we offer, anything at all we can help answer?
I don't have a question, but I'll make a couple of remarks. I was fortunate enough to be a recipient of the Finger Lakes Community College Keuka Presidential Scholarship in 2010. And I graduated in 2012 with my cohort colleague, Mr. Pete Beckes. And I can't say enough about this, as I am a poster child for the adult learner. And so coming back into, I had all of the anxiety and apprehensions, and how was I going to manage my workload? And back then it was referred to as the ASAP program. The Accelerated Student Accreditation Program, I believe. I can't say enough about every single instructor that we had. I feel like half of them were actual Keuka College staff professors, and the other half were real world people out in the industry, you know, so we had that really nice balance of flavor of not only an education institutional instructors, but as well as real life folks. As I reflect back, as I'm watching the slideshow, I think every single class, every single course I have used. For me, it was organizational management, and all of it has been useful in my professional career moving on since then. So I really can't give it enough accolades. The only, especially Leitner Library, there was a lot of new technology to be that remote and that online. They did an amazing job connecting and making sure that resources were available. The only negative thing that I can say is, which is a little bit of an oxymoron, is because it needed to be remote and we met at the Victor FLCC campus, because that's where our cohort met. It would not have been possible for me to travel to the beautiful campus, but I missed that I wasn't able to go on the beautiful campus. So it was a pleasure to be there when we could be there. And there was a couple of those. So it's an excellent college, excellent program, and it's definitely been a great impact for my personal career.
Well, thank you, Lynn. And you can expect your direct payment for the wonderful plug. That'll be on its way. No, I really appreciate that. And I feel so much of the same. Being the director of admissions and a product of the educational experience here, it's a very authentic experience for me to be able to share with the students and parents and adult learners that I work with, because I do feel so closely bonded with the campus itself. And I was nervous about doing the online program because although I work in higher education and I am educated, an online program is very different than sitting in a classroom and having that experience face-to-face with professors and classmates. And to my surprise, I very much felt like I was part of a community through the online program. Mine was cohort based, so I had other working adults that I could text outside of class, feel like I was interacting with through different video calls and online forums. So I had my own reservations going back to school online and was really happy with what I was able to experience. So it's a really nice perspective that you shared. I appreciate that. Any other questions?
I'd like to share a little kudos too about Keuka, if I can.
Yes.
My daughter Sarah transferred there, and Keuka is very welcoming in a transfer sense. And she also completed her degree during COVID. She made quite a transition. We were concerned she wasn't going to graduate high school for many years. And her transition to Keuka was a very big impact on how she feels about education. And she's going for her master's now. So thank you very much for Keuka's efforts there. And I think you did a great job during the pandemic. All the professors were very accessible for the video online programs, and she felt really confident about it. She was very worried at first, but she graduated with honors, and we're very proud of her for doing that.
Oh, congrats to her. And that's a really great point for our transfer students for both on campus and in these evening and online programs. Some students are very nervous that they haven't completed enough coursework to even get started in a degree completion type setting. And I'm very excited about what we offer because our admissions counselors work directly with each student and help them pick up with where they left off. So we do an extensive transfer credit evaluation for each student. We will review transcripts. We work with students who have a couple classes from a community college. We work with students who send us 6 official college transcripts because they've bounced around a few times looking for that perfect fit. So I think what's really unique about Keuka College is we will plug in and give as much credit to that student as possible to reduce their time and their cost of completing their degree. And for that reason, we do see students finish their undergraduate degree with us and then continue on for one of the evening and online masters because you do get attached to the students, the classmates, the professors. So if you know of anyone who's feeling like they just don't know where to start, Anne is a great first point of contact, and we will literally sit down with a student in person or virtually and help them figure out what their immediate next step is.
I have a question. If we're an employer and we're interested in doing like some kind of, you mentioned like a discount for our employees or their families or something, who would we reach out to learn more about that?
Yeah, so you can reach out directly to Anne. She will be managing all of our corporate partnerships and tuition discount agreements. So Anne Perkowski, and Anne, could you drop your email address in the chat? And so Anne will be your starting point, and then I will partner with you and Anne to figure out what those next steps are. But it's great because, you know, there's obviously a cost to education, but anything that we can do together to reduce the out-of-pocket expense for the student, and especially for those who might want to continue on to complete the master's degree, we're definitely excited to explore those opportunities. And, you know, we can figure out cross promotion opportunities for the websites and really getting both of our names out there to help not only hire new employees, but to develop their workforce too.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and the invitation to join this call today. I hope that you all have a wonderful day, and we'll jump off the call unless there's any other questions.
Well, thanks for sharing with us today. A few weeks ago, we were planning to have this meeting down at Keuka College on campus, and I'm personally disappointed we weren't able to pull that off. I was looking forward to being there and having a tour, but maybe we can schedule a tour sometime in the future.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, you know the area, so summer is a great time to be here. Back to Lynn's point about the classroom experience, offsite versus online and on campus. We do offer different options for students. So say you want to be online, but then you might be interested in an on-campus class because your schedule has that availability at a certain point. Our evening and online distance learners can still complete classes in person. But if you're interested in just touring and maybe having a pit stop here on your way to some of the lovely establishments around the lake, we're happy to tour you, show you the bookstore, we'll treat you to lunch. So feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to coordinate a nice visit for anyone who's willing and interested in doing that this summer.
Very good. Well, thanks again for sharing with us today.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right, so getting back to our agenda, there's just a couple of things to wrap up. Other business or announcements? Anybody have anything they want to report out?
I have a couple.
Alrighty.
So Mr. Chairperson, to you, Rick, you have been a very hands-on, active chair board person. And personally, for me, that has helped me tremendously in my transitioning over to the WIB as the executive director. It's been a lot of learning, a lot of research. I think we did some of that together, but to you, I want to thank you personally. I think your activeness with the board and myself has put me on a better path coming into this position. So I want to thank you personally for myself. I want to thank you on behalf of the board for your work as the board chairperson. Secondly, Mr. Manikowski, I also want to thank you. I'm also a little bit sad that my journey ends with you, although I've never had the privilege or the pleasure to work directly with you as a direct report in the same organization. My last almost 20 years has revolved in our partnership during my time at FLCC, WDI, and now here at the WEB. I am such a better workforce agent having had that access to you and working with you over the years. You will be deeply, deeply missed, sir. And I'm very, very glad that you're going to remain on at large on our board. And I wish you the very, very best going forward. And lastly, I'm incredibly excited moving forward for the leadership of the board. Jennifer DeVault coming in, Pete Beckes, and Bill Peeler. I think we've got excellent talent and from a diverse group here coming forward, and I'm very excited moving forward. So a lot of gratitude and thanks for those moving on, for everything that you've done. I'm very much looking forward to working with the new folks stepping in. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Well, thank you, Lynn. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I'll still be around for a few more years helping where I can. All right. Next meeting is Wednesday.
So that's going to be our next official board meeting, which will hopefully be in person, probably here in Geneva, barring, the current variant and infection rates and people's ability to actually show up in person. So the reason that we weren't able to be in person at CUCA is you need to have a physical quorum. So even though we had a virtual good representation, it has to be physical. So keep that in mind when you're choosing to come. And that's with the governor's current laws, and that may shift and change. So we'll keep you updated on that. There will be a June meeting where to finish up and button up the budget items as we get our final numbers, and that will be done all via email. Thanks, Rick.
All right. If there's nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Second.
I'll second.
All right. Thank you. And that's the end of our meeting. Have a happy summer, everyone. Enjoy.
Thanks for your chairmanship, Rick.
Thank you.
And my pleasure.
Have a great day, everybody.